Hello everyone, welcome back to another video from Winter Forest. Last time we have created a backend API in Node and Express have the create login and logout and my portfolio for the API. Now we go into the front end part. We're going to build a sign up, sign in. So either from sign up or sign in you will finish it, then you could go to my portfolio page. My portfolio page it actually is in private route, so it protected. You cannot direct go to my portfolio page. You need to register and sign in. And all of this built in React and Material UI. Before I start coding, we just first look what it going to look like. I have the application spin up in my local. The backend also is up. So if I go in direct into the home page, it is my portfolio page. It will force me to sign in. And if you are not registered a member, so I will go into sign in from here. All of this one, and we have a front end validation, also have a back end validation. And for example, like this password, if they are not a match, the action will appear in here. This is the validation from the back end. So now we're going to make the validation pass. Now we signed in. Once I signed in, then I could go into the root URL. So if I keep refresh, and it persisted me logged in. So I could log out. Then we are going to the sign in page. I could sign in again. If I don't have it is required. It is front end validation. If I give a no, if I give a no password, it will be and ask me to put the correct one. But this not really meaningful. It is the back end, so you could make it more meaningful. Now if I am correct, then I could redirect into here. All of the code up to today is finished, so you could go here. Actually, what I changed all of it in here. So this project was bootstrapped from the Create React app. If you don't follow along, you could just grab this code. Open this 8 days ago. It's here, so an hour ago. So this is finished. And by the UI, and actually not just from ground, actually pick up one thing from Material UI. The store provided. This one is free. So if you click here, actually grab this sign in sign up page. And now we could start it. Before I start, I just stop my application. So this is the one is going to run in my local. I will build up with you guys from empty photo. So last time we finished actually. This is last time we finished up into here. We have API is ready. So you could simply run npm up in here you simply run npm up, it will spin up this API. Now you could test it and you could add another user. And we could send a request. It is okay. Once this registered, now I could log in and also could log out. So I could request the login. Once you logged in, it will set the cookie and the session along with this request. Now you can log out. If you are not logged in, you actually cannot log in because you cannot log out, sorry, because you are not logged in. Now we're going to build our client and I'm going to put in here. So I'm going to make a photo called a client. So if I refresh, so we have a client folder in here. Please see to this client folder. And I'm going to use npx create a React app. And you need a template inside this one. This is going to take a slightly time. I'm going to just pause it and we finish it. We're going to see what it looks like. And this is my previous demo. So now it appeared just only have one components. Now we're going to get rid of this components, build our own. So first we just stop it. You could use Ctrl+C to stop the running, and we don't need this CSS, and we also don't need this app. Going to this, just have an empty app application in here, and the logo don't need it. We could delete it. Actually, the CSS we also didn't use it, so I could delete it. The CSS is used in here. We actually don't need it. We're going to delete it. Now we're going to, since we're going to working with the material UI, so we need to have a few dependency installed. So before I create our structure, I'm going to install the library that is required. So you could run npm install and material UI core, the core also, and the icon. Did I use it? Yeah, use the icon. And also the CLS. This is the material UI used to combine some Java combine some class. And we also use the pop tabs to do make sure you pass all of the required pop when you use material UI. And another thing, we have a 3-page, and so one is you have the loading and the sign in, sign up. So we also need to use the React load down. In this application, actually I use the validation email. It actually uses the library called validate. So we also need to install this one. In the portfolio page, I use the display the URL. Actually, it is the YouTube. So we actually use the library called React Play. So we are also going to install this one. So this is the library we needed. It take a bit of time to download, so I will pause the video, and when it's finished, then we just come back. To have a few folder, we have the components folder. We hold all of these reusable components, and also have the access photo. Put some image and just in our access. And for the view, like log in and log out, and then my portfolio page are going to put they are in the view folder. And I have some util helps are going to put in the utils folder. And for the material UI, normally we, and if you see this thing, and this actually he changed from the default blue color to the primary thing is black, and this is the text is white. And you see here have some icon over there. You could copy something like I'm going to put in the access folder. And for this one, it is a text box and a button. We're going to just put into our text box and the button. And another thing for this thing, you see we only use the phone. So actually, so anything related to this phone, this actually quite small. So we have a phone related components. We also have something called a phone. And the install is finished, and now we just started. First thing are going to have a global change for the theme. You could in application have a multiple theme, and in this case we just I actually copy paste use them, so we just copy paste use this theme. So the primary and the second color change, and the type graph also changed. So this is going to globally change. Once we have this thing, and then we're going to start our index page. I'll copy paste something over there. And this is the theme provider going to use and to globally use. And the customer theme will start from here. So instead of start from brand app, we actually have the theme provider. This theme will be assigned in here. This is CSS class line just to make sure, and this is style from here as the baseline to start. So now we just set up a thing. At the moment, if you run, so it will pick up the font and this size. It will just pick up the font size and this color schema. But actually for our application, if you see this one, we need a text and also button. And actually the app top and the app foot, it is reusable. They actually in sign up page. So I'm going to create these components first. So instead I create one by myself, I just copy paste and then reusable components we could talk from here. And then you could go to my branch, just copy from here. So this actually it is in here. I slightly changed, so it will be structured different than the original theme. So it actually we have this over there. So if you go here, I have an Apple bar and Apple phone. This Apple phone is wrapped, making sure everything's inside this small container, so making sure everything nailed in here. This actually didn't be used. and the authentication, this actually I have talked before, and if you go to for the authentication, actually I explained before, it's called a practical example for React authentication and private load, and also this kind of thing. If you don't understand it, and you just could go here, have a look. Previous in this video have the authentication and the protect load, private load, but I don't have the UI. The different in today we're going to have the login and the UI part. So this authentication part, if you don't understand it, you just go to another video. And this is just the button and the loading paper permission denied if you don't have a permission. And this is the private load already explained in this video, practice example for React authentication. This is the text field and the toolbar, and these all the components is we are going to reuse it. For the phone, actually I create a few also. Inside the phone folder, I actually create some fields. It's really related to the phone, because sometimes when you have a page, the button and things will display different when you are in the phone. So I have a phone button. This phone button not really different. It actually just wrap the existing button, but this button actually is a submit button. And we also have the phone feedback. So this phone feedback is make sure this one is laid inside this phone and nicely. So either you have error and successful, it will be showing over there. And also have this text field really, and instead directly use the text field. So the text, this field, it is the phone field. The phone field will have the error. If you have error, then display the error. Otherwise, just display this text. And also have some validation over there for the required. If you touched, and the email, we use the validation. I was installed early and he uninstalled the validation. So this is validation you email. Once we have these components, also this phone is for reusable. And before go ahead, or actually have a, so we're going to have a top bar is reusable, the upper bar, so it's on top. So we actually use the material UI, this upper bar. The upper bar we actually build in the upper components. Then you have the toolbar. This toolbar actually just make sure this width. If you go here, see the toolbar, it just make sure the height is 70 or 60. And this is the upper bar on top. On the top, when we logged in, if we are logged in, then we display our log out. And if you are logged, you haven't logged in, you are in the sign in page, we are just displaying the sign in and the sign up based on your location. Here is the library we installed, the React load location. We are displaying and highlight it. This is this CLSX, for you highlight this one. And this is the footer part. The footer part we actually used two image, and I actually just used the HTTP image, so it doesn't matter about the image. We actually in here we are put in the access folder, so we actually need a 2 image. We actually in here, we're going to copy 2 images, put in here. LinkedIn and Facebook. The required 2 images, one is the LinkedIn and the Facebook image. We create an upper bar and top, and the upper bar foot is reusable in all of this sign upper page, all of this page. And this is my portfolio page. The portfolio page I have used React Play, so you could and this is just my image, my YouTube link. So you actually, when you put in here and just this is the type graph we already defined, and now I'm just mapping it to React Play. It is not my code, it actually a library. So you actually just when you have this name and you give a URL, it will display. This is the customize, just make sure it lay out nicely. Image, actually I didn't use class net. Don't need to display all of it, so just randomly put something over there. So you have a, for this React Play, you only need to give a URL, it will display. And the images, I make sure it is display in a grid. So give some gap, so going to one by one display over there. And I didn't reuse the Apple phone, so this is pure React. So you have a container. Then you could style this one just class.root. So I give some space on top and on bottom, and the image just nicely display inside. And this is my portfolio. The not found page is quite simple, just inside Apple phone. So make sure it lay out in the middle, and you have a type graph, and so say no found. And the sign in page is we're going to talk about it. And the sign in page actually have a few steps. Either is you haven't signed in, and if you already signed in, then we will redirect you back to that page. If you are just coming in here to sign in, then you have this UR. In previous in this application, I explained the authentication. So you actually don't have the sign-in page. So I just when you come to this sign-in, the login in my previous tool, so I think component demand are behind the scene. I will run this sign-in for you, so this authentication for you. This is sign in, and the sign up working exactly the same, but the sign up actually called the register folder. So when you going to request it, then you register. Once you register, then you going to have the authentication. So that's why I have this with the author. The with the author is a HOC components. I haven't built this components yet. So I created this folder called constraints, and I have the app constraints. So actually just have this one once you send in. Make sure you are the current user already signed in. And when I make a request, everything I put in the util. So in the util, I have a few file. here going to make a request since I use the credential is same origin. The reason because this will give to the session, and if you look up my API, I didn't enable close, so actually I also need to do extra, since in the client when the application here are going to box it. So if you go into /API/URL, we are proxy to localhost 8080. So that is why sometimes when you do front-end coding test, you open the browser, you could see, but actually if you just from the React, you make a request, you actually cannot see. So you need to use this one. You could proxy from here. And in the util, did I finish the util? The util, this is the request, everything make a back-end call are always pending this credential is the same origin, and also have the heading. And I have a helper method. These helper methods are going to first I just see if you are in the local storage. If you start the authentication, you actually not start when you start it. First check you have logged in or not. If you logged in, then I could get your current user authentication. So the code in the components here authentication, I will call get initial data. It actually going to start instead everything's default. You actually start in here the authentication. Start with the elite from your local storage. See if you are logged in. If you are logged in, then you will be directed to here. Now we have a components or build it. Now we just need to set up our app. Just copy paste it. We use the browser load and the switch, and this is our sign up my portfolio page, Apple top and Apple bar foot, also no font. The authentication management I already talked in here if you don't understand it. And now we just can put it in here. It's formatted. So I put the apple bar and the apple bar foot and note inside this authentication. So this always top and the bottom is visible, and only this private lottery are give you permission. If you are logged in and is admin, then you can go to my portfolio page. Otherwise, you will be redirected to the with the author page. The sign in. The sign in itself actually want to. The with author actually is a consumer, so it actually will pass. This is authentication. It is consumer the data from here, the author. So once you have this one, you will know is authentication or not. Not this all of it. Suppose I want do the job. I'm in here, so now let's start it. I'm missing something and they config. The config is where I put this URL over there. Support inside the client, not the outside the client. Everything supports inside the SUI. SRC file. I have a pivot is logged in, so if I log out and if I come to first log in, then it will redirect to over there. Now I could just sign up. You could test it. They have a client-side validation. Now if you keep refresh, you can stay in here. If you log out, now you're trying to log in, then you'll be forced to stay in the sign in page. Keep asking you to sign in. All of the code has already finished in here. You can get it. Thank you for watching. Bye.